Welcome back to Force Education. This is Ed. Today I'm going to be talking about Imperial Petroleum, going with the ticker IMPP. Now, we did talk about Imperial Petroleum before, and this stock has been getting a lot of attention from a retail side of view. Now, this company itself is basically an oil tanker company that basically travels in or around Europe. And the reason why it's kind of spiked in the recent days, it really was mainly towards the Russian oil kind of dilemma in Europe, trying to ban that. And so in that perspective, you're able to see why some people have flocked to some companies like these ones, where they're oil tankers, expecting that there's more operations coming their way, bringing in oil from other countries other than Russia, where they would most likely need oil tankers. Now, what this company did as well is proceeded with public offerings, and this did really drop the stock price. So I think around March 23rd, we seen a stock offering, and this was mainly due to tankers being very expensive to acquire, and the payments on it are pretty hefty. So currently they have around 4 of their fleet, and I did cover last time the additions of additional fleets as well. And I did report last time about their earnings. That was back in March 29th, 2022. Just to kind of summarize a quick bit of it. So it says as of March 28th, 2022, they raised $27 million in total net proceeds after underwriting discounts from our first public offering in February 2022 for $64 million. Now, currently, the company doesn't have an exact valuation on Finviz, for instance, but you're able to see that they have at least $64 million in net proceeds, and this is relating towards their first offering of the year, February 2022, and March 28, 2022, they had $27 million. And this is additional, all in together is probably closer to around $90 million. Now, in March 2022, they entered into an agreement to acquire 2 MR product tankers for a related party for an aggregate price of around $31 million. The first vessel was delivered on March 28, 2022, and the second will be delivered by the end of May 2022. So again, using public offering money to get more vessels, and it becomes more of a self-told prophecy that if the stock does jump, it does actually come better, because they're going to be raising more offering money and then going to go ahead and buy more tankers, increasing their balance sheet into the net positive, hopefully. Now, they also declared dividends on their 8.7% series. It's not much, but it's around 55 cents per share. Currently, their shares are trading around 1.46. Now, this presentation here is a little bit outdated. I mean, by outdated, I mean 2 weeks outdated, but they have some key highlights here. So we did talk a little bit about their offerings and a bit about their dividends. But currently, you're able to see in terms of operational, in March 2022, they entered into agreement to buy the 2 tankers. I did mention that. And fleet operation utilization is 92.9% in quarter 4 2021 compared to 97% in the same period last year. So they did see a little bit less in fleet utilization, and that's a little bit alarming given basically how the market itself. But it says here the weak spot market led to a rise in commercial off-hire days. So it could be to a lower utilization perhaps in oil and gas, which I really doubt to be the case, but I really think it's just the market and a little bit of how things work. But 92 or 93 to 97, it might be a big deal when you're talking about massive companies of operations for oil tankers. Now, as of March 2022, their average fleet age excluding the new vessels was around 13.2 years. And the revenues was around $4 million in quarter 4 2021, making a decrease of $1.6 million compared to quarter 4 2020 due to the sharp drop in both time for charter and spot rates. Now, their EBITDA is around $800,000 in quarter 4 2021. This is compared to a net loss of around, or a net loss is what they saw as well for that same period for around $1.5 million. Now, for the 12 months 2021, EBITDA came around $5.2 million with a net loss of around $3.6 million. So cash to date is about $90 million. So you get to see they're still in the negative, and they still got room to grow, and they still got things to fix up. Now, fleet employment status, you're able to see here. This is basically where you have vessels names and where they're employed in terms of period time, as well as some of the money they're actually going ahead and making. So all vessels, excluding the 2 newly acquired vessels, are currently under period contracts, and they recently agreed to a minimum of 2 months time for chartering their Aframax tanker and Stealth Brianna on a daily rate of $33,000. So should all options get exercised, the fleet coverage for 2022 will be in the order of 53%. So they still have a high utilization from before, but right now it's 53% should they all be for all options to get exercised. But nonetheless, I do expect for their utilization to still be in the 90%. Now, this kind of gives you a bit of an idea about their company itself. Total debts right now is in the order of around $28 million and equates about gearing ratio of around 22% basis fleet book value, taking into account their enhanced cash base. They're generating ratios as low as 13%. So they currently have low debt, but that's due as well to comparative of the offerings they put, and they're able to pay it off. Now, shares outstanding still shows 4.8 million. I'm not sure if that's exactly true. I think it's a bit higher, but we don't have much of the information for valuations and profitability as of yet. Now, moving on towards institutional buyers, we don't have any of the information there yet, so we're going to move on towards technical analysis. If you would like to see more contents like this, and make sure to drop the subscribe button on the bottom right corner, leave notification buttons on for this channel, and don't forget to drop the like button. You can join our Discord in the description below, and let's move on towards technical analysis. Now, from a technical analysis perspective for IMPP, there is quite a few significant things that are happening here. Now, we've seen a massive stock jump from where it was around 120 to around 146 on the last trading day, and currently it basically peaked above the 10 SMA, so that's kind of a nice thing to see. The first resistance that you're probably going to be seeing would be the 50 SMA at 182 from the moving averages, and 173 is very close to it, the 30 EMA. But what we see here on the average directional index is that we're sitting around $23 or 2306. The 2306 kind of level is indicating that there is a potential for a movement or momentum for it to create that movement. The willing percent R though is showing that the stock has more buying action than selling, more demand than there is supply, in another word. So this is currently not at the level of overbought yet, but it's very, very close. It's very similar to what you see with the relative strength index or RSI. It is sitting at 24 almost. 20 and lower is considered overbought. The MACD though is seeing a positive reversal chance coming in the next trading day. It's currently at 0 coming in from the bottom, and it's really attempting a positive reversal. If it does see that, that's a very bullish move, especially with momentum basically doing almost the exact same thing. Currently momentum is at negative 0.08 and it's coming in from the bottom, so it has a very strong chance of seeing a nice positive momentum. Now, in terms of stochastic fast and stochastic slow, you're able to see that they're all kind of curving upwards, suggesting that there is a strong chance for this one to see another leg up, and so we're waiting on this. We're hopeful that we will be seeing a higher leg up. It's always nice to see stocks jump in price, but again, we don't have much of the valuations at hand to be able to critique it at that level. Now, moving average bands, you're able to see there is a resistance at 167 and a support at 136. So currently the stock price is right in between. There is a resistance where the moving averages in the middle here is 157, but that's not as strong as the 167. The Bollinger Bands are between 211 and 892 cents, so you gotta expect to see these levels of prices depending where the stock price is coming from to see either support or resistance actions. Now, we also have Fibonacci retracements that we're covering, and it goes all the way from around 970 all the way to the bottom, going closer to around 40 cents. So it's still quite a gap, but there is a strong resistance that appears to be at 260, 395, 505, 615, 771, and 971, and 40 cents to be the support. Now, in terms of a price line action, just in general, we're able to see a significant support currently at 143, going lower to 132, going lower to 118, and then going lower to 107, and then to 74, to 60 cents, and 247. Now, in terms of resistances, you're able to see one at 159, one at 179, and then one at 204, and then one at 224, 260, 291, going higher to around 344, and then a little bit higher to around 431, 461, higher to 507 and to around 589. Comes to the question to Ed, what do you think about this one? Well, from an analyst perspective, we don't have any analyst recommendations in the last 3 months that are significant, but we're able to see that this one is currently curving up. Momentum is kind of building up for this one. We might in fact see a bullish stock action. As you get to see here, stochastic fast and stochastic slow are both rising upwards. So there is a good chance for the stock to start seeing a bit of a nice price movement. I mean, it started from 111 to around 146. It's almost around 40%, but the question is, will it jump to the 970 level? Well, that's a very hard catch to go, and I do think that around 281 it might start seeing very, very strong resistance and it might drop back if it does reach there. But I would say it has a potential to start riding upwards and starting more of a bullish movement again. What do you think is going to happen here? Make sure to enter down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day.